Hey guys, how you doing today? This is David Lucas back here again. Welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving you guys a review, basically my final thoughts and my final kind of feelings on the TV show that I've been talking about on my channel lately, WandaVision. Yes guys, WandaVision is finally over with now, and sadly I'm a little bit hurt that it's over with because, it's a Friday tradition, but no worries, because Falcon and Winter Soldier is right around the corner, so we're going to be having that pretty soon. Now, I know I already did a review of WandaVision, kind of like the previous episodes and everything of it. I know I already did all that, but this is the final episode, and I didn't really do a review of every single episode or give my full-on thoughts of it. I just kind of gave my first, thoughts of each episode by episode and giving my theories of what's coming up next. But now, since it's over with, I'm just going to be giving, my final thoughts on this show. I gotta say, I really did enjoy this show a lot. Before I get into the review of my final thoughts on the final episode and basically the series as a whole, I just want to say right up the bat, I did enjoy this show a lot. This was a show that I really thoroughly enjoyed every Friday night, waiting for, the new episode to come up and then waiting for it to go see the new episode. Every Friday night, I've been waiting for it, and it's been a show that's became tradition and something that I will always remember in the MCU and probably is up there on some of my favorite MCUs of anything in the MCU. But there are still some bad things in this show that I had. There are some things in this show that I didn't really like as much, which comes with most shows, I think. Most shows. There's very rarely there's a show that I truly enjoy all the way through. And, this show, even though I loved most of it, there were some things about this entire show that I did not like. Now, of course, in my reviews, I do the bad and the good. So let's get the bad out of the way. Right off the bat, some of the stuff that I did not like about this show that I want to get into is I can't help but to notice, every time they went back into S.W.O.R.D. and they started focusing a lot on S.W.O.R.D. and what's going on with that, it did kind of lose me a little. I feel like the momentum of the show kind of lost it a little bit. The story I feel like slacked a little bit. Even though I did find myself enjoying, the cast of this story, like Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Woo and Darcy and even Hayward, too. I enjoyed all of them. I felt like the story, and every time they went back to it, it detracted a lot of stuff that we could have been seeing more of in Wanda's theory, because that's what I really enjoyed, was the wackiness and craziness of Wanda's world and of the world that she created. That is what I was really interested in, and I feel like a lot of the times they lost that when they went back to the sword stuff. I feel like it lost a lot of that momentum and a lot of what it was building up for. Two that I want to get on here that I didn't really like was, and it's on actually the final episode, that I didn't really like, and that was the final fight scene. I know I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but I was not a fan of the final fight scene between Agatha Harkness and Wanda. Now I get it, they needed a fight, they needed to have their big fight, but I felt like it kind of went on a little too long, and yes, I know I'm going to get hate for this, but it had a little bit too much of CGI, and not that that's bad, Not that having too much CGI is bad, because every comic book movie has that. But it kind of detracted a lot from what this show previously set up, I felt like the kind of tone and feeling of it. And then just to end it on this big CGI fight battle thing, kind of was a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. It was a little bit underwhelming, and we didn't really get much out of that fight, you know what I mean? Except for Wanda winning and Agatha, It turned into a classic comic book ending battle scene, which is fine, as it's fine in all intents and purposes, it's fine, but this show I felt like was going for something different in the beginning, and it kind of felt a little bit underwhelming to see this is what it came up with at the very end. One last thing that I want to get on here that I didn't really like about this show now this has nothing to do with previous fan theories. I know a lot of people and a lot of, channels and stuff putting out these fan theories of who Quicksilver was, and I was one of them. I had a big theory that Evan Peters' Quicksilver was Mephisto, and that he was just using that look to come in here as Mephisto. I had a big theory of that. And it didn't turn out to be that, which I am fine with. I am completely fine with that theory not being real. That's not my problem with it. But I feel like what they decided to go with Quicksilver's, with Evan Peters' Quicksilver, was pretty bad. I felt like it was a little bit lazy and a little bit, to really just name him Ralph Boner. And that's his name. Ralph Boner. So, and he's just some random guy that just lives down the street, basically. Some basically like burnout that lives down the street. And he's under Agatha's spell. And then they never really touch on to that character at all ever again or nothing like that. Get it? I get it that they did not tease us, that he is part of something big or this. But I feel like if you're bringing in a character that is already a pre-established character in another universe and you bring him in as that same character from that pre-established universe, I feel like you need to do something more with them. It can't be just a throwaway thing, and that's what it turned out to be, just a throwaway character. That's all he turned out to be, and I feel like it deserves more than that. I feel like it deserves something more than just that. That's basically it on my negatives on this show. Basically, that's all my negatives. Now I want to get into the good stuff, which I really liked about this show. And now one thing that I liked about the show that it did carry on throughout the ending of it, which I really liked and appreciated, was the whole strangeness, was the whole creepiness and, kind of unsettling undertone of, depression and all that other weird stuff going on, which they set up in the very beginning of the show, and they do carry it on through the ending of this final, and I like that. I like how it stays like that, and how we do have that creepy undertone going through every single era, even up to the finale of it, because there are some creepy horror stuff going on in this finale. There are, with the magic stuff and the dark, red and black hex stuff going on, magic, and Vision versus Vision. We still get that creepy, trippiness undertone in here that I really liked. I think all around the cast was great. With this whole show, the cast was magnificent. They did their parts, especially the Sword cast. I felt like when they went to Sword, even though I did have my problems with them going into Sword, I loved the cast. I love seeing Jimmy Woo. I love seeing Monica Rambeau. I love seeing Darcy. I love seeing all of them. It was great. And it was so entertaining to see them, interact with each other, and then going into the whole hex with Wanda and all that. I thought that was great. I kind of was sad, though, that Darcy didn't really get, like, a full-on ending. I mean, she got a cool ending. I mean, she basically ran over Hayward and basically said, see you in jail. But that's all we see of Darcy. She goes off, runs off to somewhere else. Probably in a new movie. Maybe Thor Love and Thunder. Maybe that's where she's coming in. I kind of wish we got to see a little bit more of her at the end, but we didn't. But it's not that big of a deal. I think I gotta say one of the big standouts of this entire show, and even into the finale, even though I didn't like her last battle scene, but I gotta say I love her character, is Catherine Hahn's Agatha Harkness. I think she did great. And that was the one theory that I had throughout this whole show that was actually true, was that Agnes was Agatha Harkness. And I loved her as it. I think she was great. She's already, just from the show alone, to me, is up there with, like, Loki and all of them, and Killmonger and Mysterio as some of the best MCU villains, I think. Because she's great. Like, I think she's awesome. Catherine Hahn just completely owns the role. Like, she just owns it. She owns that role. Every moment she's on screen, of every episode, she's great. There's not a bad scene there. Even that one episode she wasn't in, I think it was the Malcolm in the Middle episode. It was... Yeah, when they were like Malcolm in the Middle, I loved that episode too. She wasn't in there as much, I noticed. She wasn't really in there as much as you would think that she would be in. The way how they ended it with her, I really liked it, because they ended it in a way to where it's like, yeah, she's probably coming back. She probably is. We're probably going to see her come back a little bit more. And she may or may not be a villain coming back. I think she's going to come back to help Wanda. I think that is what she's going to be doing, because that's kind of what it seemed like they left it off on. Was how, like, Wanda said, like, she's like, you're going to need me after what you unleash. That's another thing, too. What did Wanda unleash? She did say, you're going to need my help after what you unleashed. And Wanda goes, when I need your help, I'll come to you. So we know she's going to maybe be coming back soon, hopefully. Let's hope. I like how throughout the show, we are teased and showed that Wanda is doing bad things. That she is doing evil acts. And that she is kind of harming these people. and hurting these people and kind of taking these people away from their lives. In this final episode, you do see that. You see the repercussions of it a little bit, but we do see the repercussions that, wow, like we see how Wanda feels. We see that her looking at this and realize, like, oh man, like I am really just hurting these people when they're coming after her and saying, like, we feel your pain, like, you know, take something about you took our children and are keeping. That's when we figure out what happened with all the children. She's keeping the children locked up in their rooms or something like that. We see the evilness that Wanda's doing, and we see stuff how, like, okay, Wanda's starting to turn to a villain, and then I like how at the ending it kind of took that and she realized what she was doing wrong, and we're like, okay, she's gonna be good again. But then we get that end credit scene with her messing with the Darkhold, and we hear her kid screaming, and I'm pretty sure Wanda is being set up to be the big villain for Doctor Strange 2, and that's what I think is going on, and I love that, especially with this show, and what we've seen in the show, the setup for that. And now if we see her as the villain in Doctor Strange 2, we will completely understand, like, okay, I get why you're becoming a villain now. I think that'll be really cool for like an evolution and a next step for Wanda's character. I love actually the whole entire message of this show. And that's like one last thing I want to get on here is that the whole message of this show, in my opinion, was really great. I loved how we get to follow Wanda through this and we basically learn that her life and what she went through as a child, losing her parent and then losing her brother and then being tortured by Hydra, you know, scientists. And then after that, being blamed for what happened, and a lot of it was her fault in a way. I mean, it was on accident, it truly was, but it wasn't a way her fault. And then now losing vision and everything, she's had her breaking point, and we see that, and you feel that yeah, she truly did reach her breaking point, and it is a truly heartbreaking story because at the ending, she has to give up what she loves most. She has to give up her kids and Vision, the love of her life, you know, in order to just let these innocent people live their lives and to get out of this, and she has to give all that up for that. And I like that, and I like that heartbreaking message, and we get that too in Wonder Woman 1984, and we get that in here. There's a really good heartbreaking message that I really love that they put in here, and is really emotional, and honestly something completely different from anything the MCU has done thus far. Now, my final thoughts on WandaVision and what I want to say on WandaVision since the series is over with is that WandaVision is definitely one of my favorite things in the MCU thus far. It is definitely something I really enjoyed watching. It is a show where, to me, each episode got better and better and better. And I feel like, except for the final episode, but then I feel like that this show does have a good undertone meaning to it, and I feel like it made me a big fan of Wanda as a character, and it made me excited for her as a character going forward in the MCU, which I think the show did a great job in. I love the mystery that this show had. I love that the mystery kind of aspects of it, where every week we were guessing and guessing and guessing of what's going on. We get a little bit revealed and a little bit not revealed. I love how, you know, when we are with S.W.O.R.D, the one good things I do like about S.W.O.R.D is that they're like the audience, that we're there with them, like the audience. I love that. There are some things that I didn't like about the show. I didn't like how they just kind of wasted the Quicksilver character. I didn't like how Final was basically turned into a average, everyday comic book movie Final. I didn't really like that. I felt like the show deserved a little more than that. Other than that, I feel like this show was really great. Everybody just nailed their performances on it. Everybody gave their A game. I think this show was great and a great entry in the MCU, and definitely one of my favorites, I think, in the MCU. Probably not top 5, but definitely my top 10 of favorite stuff in the MCU. I really enjoyed WandaVision. Not loved it because the final did kind of dampen my love for it, but I really, really enjoyed. I very much liked it. I very much liked WandaVision a lot. My final scoring of WandaVision as a series, I'm going to have to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Yes, a solid 8 out of 10. That is would be like a B. I think this show is good. It is great. I loved it. The ending, well, again, that's all I gotta go back to, is that the ending final did tamper me down a little bit. It did tamper me down from putting this up to like a B plus or an A or like a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. It did tamper it a little bit. But at the end of the day, I still really like this show a lot, and I'm probably going to rewatch it a lot. And I'm really excited for Doctor Strange 2, come and have Wanda come back, and Spider-Man 3, which apparently this is going to all lead into the same stories. And the other MCU shows that are coming out on Disney Plus. I'm definitely going to be reviewing those because I loved, doing this review now. So I'm definitely going to be back, guys, for doing the Falcon and Winter Soldier reviews. I'm going to probably do an episode-by-episode review of that and then do, again, the final review. Probably going to be doing the same thing like I've been doing for The Mandalorian and this. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel and give this video a like and thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot, and I always appreciate your guys' help. Till next time, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you later.